Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Nikki Watson, and I'm here with Anne Margolis and with Home Sweet Home Birth. And this is the monthly portion of our Ask the Midwife series, and it's an e-newsletter that's emailed out monthly to subscribers. And if you're a subscriber, great. If you're not, you can subscribe at our website at www.homesweethomebirth.com. So please go ahead and do that. And today the topic is going to be around pain management in a out of hospital birth setting. And so I know that you have a couple items around that topic that you'd like to share. So if you want to share a little bit about that.
Well, there's so much. I think number one is I don't like to use the word pain because it implies suffering. And labor, the sensations of labor, women can experience them as pain, but it's not the pain of suffering. It's not the pain of sickness or illness, which pain is usually associated with. It's the pain of that your body's doing what it needs to do. It's the pain that you're healthy, that you're having a healthy labor, that it's the pain that you're having a huge transformation. It's the pain that's necessary in this amazing hormonal recipe and balance that's going on in the body. And it's necessary, and it helps you birth. It helps you assume different positions that help the baby navigate its way down, and it also helps the baby transition. So a lot of the work I do with women is really through the whole pregnancy on this concept of shifting the mindset, shifting the attitude towards what we call pain. And changing the language. And, I use a lot of my yoga and mindfulness and present moment awareness sort of training to keep women present in each moment of labor, and focusing on the sensation, being with the sensation without a mental story, diving right into the sensation, releasing into the sensation. And, this I kind of cover this in my online course in much bigger detail, much more detail. But I also like women to kind of think of, to kind of realize what labor for what it is. And so in the beginning, it's a series of waves that come and go. And in the beginning, the waves maybe last 15, 20, 30 seconds, and you can talk through them and they're mild. And then there's this rest for 10, 20 minutes, and then there's again. And as labor progresses, at max, the most of the sensation or the wave, it rises, and it falls. That lasts at max 60 to 90 seconds. And then there's this rest in between of 2 to 3 minutes. So if we can keep you present, and just staying in that, just watching it go, watching it come up, watching it, and then it reaches its peak and then it goes down, you can do anything for a minute and a half. So that's part of it. And I also like women to look at it sort of kind of as an athlete looks at, or has the attitude of an athlete, let's say running the marathon, doing an Olympic sport, playing a big game, or a dancer at a peak performance, because they're feeling sensation. Believe me, they're working hard, they're making noise. And they are, some athletes and dancers work through tremendous, like if they weren't in that experience, they would feel the pain, but when they're in it, they're not feeling the pain. It's a mindset, it's an attitude shift. They have their eye on the goal. They know they're doing it. They're working hard, even though it's intense. And so also, in the pregnancy, I like women to tap into the sensual, sexual part of birth. Like what gets the baby in is sort of the energy of what gets the baby out. And I have seen, I'm in the movie Orgasmic Birth, and it's not that women, all are having orgasms in birth, although I have, that can happen. It's that when women are supported in this sort of midwifery model, out of hospital midwifery model of care, and you know, they're empowered, and they're doing it, and they're, even though it's challenging, they can be in ecstasy with their experience. It can be almost orgasmic. I have seen women laugh their baby out, sing their baby out, dance their baby out, and even I've seen women like working so hard and you know, saying to me that, like, yeah, this is intense, but I'm in ecstasy with my experience, you know. And I've attended thousands of women, and it's been over 20 years now, and I have not once had to take a woman to the hospital because she was requesting an epidural. Not once. And that's not because women who are out of hospital and birthing centers or home birth have different bodies and capabilities. It's a combination of the preparation, and it's also a combination of the management of the out of hospital midwifery model of care, that women are free to move, free to vocalize, free to express their labor in a way that comes instinctually for them. They instinctually can get into positions and that feel better. We use water, the shower, the bath, and a lot of loving sort of support, you know, support and encouragement. And it's, they're not tied down to a bed. They're not told they can't eat and drink, attached to an IV, given medication that makes labor more intense, right? So it's that model of care plus their own preparation that is enabling women to do it. And I mean, I can only speak also from not just my experience as a midwife witnessing this and helping women birth like this. I had births in 4 children, and I've had 2 in the hospital as an OB nurse on the unit where I work. So I was given the royal treatment, but I was also given the standard hospital treatment. And I did not know about midwifery and doulas in those days. And I was tied to a bed and a monitor and an IV alone. And of course I wasn't laboring as fast as, you know, according to their time clock. So then came the Pitocin, which made it excruciating because I couldn't move. And then, you know, the epidural. And it was both of those births were so traumatizing for me that I was petrified of the pain. And it's actually, you know, those experiences and my working in the hospital that stimulated my desire to become a midwife. But when I was pregnant with the next baby, I felt like in order to be an authentic midwife and to really promote the midwifery model of care, I have to see that this works for me. Because prior to that, I was afraid of the pain. I was afraid. I considered myself a wimp, right? But I empowered myself, and my midwife said, "You're going to see it's going to be completely different. You're going to do it." And she was so right, because when I was in those experiences, you know, I had prepared my mindset in a different way. But it was also like I wasn't tied down. I was having a natural labor. I was in the shower. I was moving. I was vocalizing. I was surrounded by people that kept telling me I'm doing great and I can do it. And the fact that I did it was so healing, and it just enabled me to really be convinced that all women can do it if given the opportunity. And this is how we birthed since the beginning of time, before the relatively recent time in history when pain medication was invented and given to women. And, you know, I was speaking, well, I was invited by one of the women in my practice who was a she was in her residency, and she was at a big Ivy League institution hospital, very prestigious hospital. And it was her experiences seeing those births in the hospital that made her petrified of wanting to birth there. So she had 2 home births with me in my practice, and she was so inspired. She wanted to show the business of being born to the entire medical school, all of the residents, all of the attendings. And I'm on a panel, right? I'm on a panel after the movie, the question and answer panel. And there was the chief obstetrician, the chief pediatrician, the chief neonatologist, and a home birth midwife, and then they had like their like the head of nursing and all these other people on their staff, and all the questions were directed at me. And they were boasting a 99% epidural rate. And that really concerns me, you know, because now I think there's a place for an epidural. You know, my transfer rate is 7%. That means 93% of women in my practice experiencing a normal labor are doing it. But sometimes, you know, when a labor is not, you know, is deviating from normal for, you know, it could be, you know, the mom has just been up five nights in a row and she's just completely depleted. Her just no more energy. She can't sleep. She's just doing it and she's tense, and her, you know, it's just not working anymore. And we've tried everything at home. And she's not progressing and she's exhausted. It's a mutual decision, you know, that this is not normal anymore. She's been stuck at a certain point for a long time, and we've tried everything and it's not progressing, and she has no more energy. So that is, you know, what I call a compassionate use of an epidural, and that can often help her just, you know, sleep a little bit, just relax a little bit, and birth her baby. Right. I've had a woman, for example, every time, you know, it had to do with where the baby's elbow was like pressing into her side every time she had a sense, you know, a labor contraction. I don't even have to use the word contraction, because the top is contracting and the bottom is opening, and contraction implies, you know, it's sort of a negative connotation. But anyway, you know, she was in labor for 75 hours and it just wasn't working. She couldn't take it and she couldn't get past a certain point. So that epidural enabled her to birth. Right. But to be used routinely on every woman is a concern, because, you know, you're interfering with natural labor that works well. And there are risks to giving epidurals, you know, so that I encourage women, you know, to, you know, if that's what they're considering, to really research the pros and the cons, the risks and the benefits.
Yeah.
Of using it routinely.
Yeah, and I like how you're not saying that, you know, because there's a lot of opportunity for us to feel guilty as moms, and for our, you know, how we birth or how it ended up, and
there's no failure in labor.
Right. Yeah, there's no failure, and I've learned that, and in talking with other women, and I've had 2 epidurals and 1 natural birth, but like talking with other women, and it's about meeting people where they are and giving women an opportunity to explore something that may be natural to them. Maybe an epidural actually is counterintuitive to them, but they don't question it because they don't know they have options. And these success stories, just, you've had 20 years of experience of success stories, but just
it's not just me, it's thousands of women in my practice, but you know, women all over the world, all over our country, you know, they're coming to out of hospital midwives, or hospital midwives, and they want natural childbirth.
Yeah.
They want to experience that. You know, and I don't convince you know, I don't just, you know, go around parading, you know, that everyone should have natural childbirth, but I want to encourage women to know that you can do it. And so many women are doing it. And not only are they able to just deal with their sensations and cope with the sensations, but they're birthing with feeling pleasure, feeling bliss, feeling ecstasy with their experience. And that's what I go through in deep detail in my practice with the women in my practice and on my online course.
Yes, and I want to remind people that are, you know, men and women that are watching this, that they can check out your online childbirth course, and it's a very, very valuable resource to just have assistance, and just really, really invaluable information that is all in one place, rather than us women. Me in particular, we Google everything and we're trying to put all the pieces together. And I love your course that has everything all together. So
it's just kind of guiding women through my practice without the actual hands-on midwifery care. You know, like everything that I teach women about how to best cope with and really rock their experience.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to our next our next session. But again, if you haven't subscribed to Anne's newsletter, please do so at homesweethomebirth.com, and this will come in your inbox every single month with a Q&A. It's her Ask the Midwife series. And so thank you, Anne, so much for sharing, and we'll see you next month.
Pleasure.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.